Hi, welcome to our webinar. I'm Yvonne Hiltz, and Nikki has joined the call. Okay, awesome. Hi, Nikki, how are you?
I'm really well, Yvonne. How are you?
Good. We were just talking to Michelle. I'm like, we're ready to go, and hopefully, Nikki, your technical issues have all been. Someone's looking down.
There is, isn't there? 7:02. We're ready to go. Thank you so much, Michelle. So who's going to start the broadcast?
I think we're live.
Are we live, everyone? That's exciting.
I've got a live button on my side, and yeah, I think we're all systems go.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I'm going to say hello to everyone out there. Big welcome to all of you and a big welcome to Yvonne. This is new technology to me, and thank you to my internet for disappearing an hour ago. And I'm so excited that we made it happen, and a big thanks to Michelle Millichimp, our goddess, web goddess illuminator. She's made it all happen, so thank you very much.
All the way in New Zealand.
What did you say, Yvonne?
All the way in New Zealand.
I know, she's in New Zealand. I'm going to include her web address in my email to everyone because she is phenomenal. Okay.
Yeah, she is.
I'm excited. So I'll introduce myself briefly, and then I'll get Yvonne to introduce herself as well, and we'll dive into tonight's topic. So I actually know quite a few of you on the call, which is exciting. So for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Nikki Smith. I'm a psychologist and a Dream Life Best Fit role coach. So I help people to discover their Dream Life Best Fit role, which is a combination of their strengths, their interests, their lifestyle needs, and the things they love to do. Now, I'm here and I've invited Yvonne because I think she's a money wonder woman. I really do. I love the way, how she thinks about money, and she's taught me a lot actually in the last couple of weeks about money, and it's through one of her programs, so we'll tell you about that at the end. So Yvonne, can you tell us a bit more about you and what you're passionate about?
Thank you, Nikki. I'm very excited to be here tonight. Look, my passion is helping women with their relationship to money. I have spent years myself working in retail. I had a sales training organisation working with small and large organisations. And whilst I was teaching people and myself, because I think I'm always the student as well as the teacher, about how to build businesses or change careers or ask for more money if they're an employee, you know, I kept seeing this glass ceiling that would kick in, and for women in particular, I'd see that they would back out from the conversations, the courageous conversations of asking for what they wanted, putting themselves forward for bigger roles with bigger responsibility and bigger money. So when I had Frankie, who is now nearly 1 year of age, I went, you know what, I want to get back to my passion, and that's working with women and their relationship to money and valuing themselves, because I see for myself that, you know, when a woman is really owning herself and valuing who she is, there's such a big ripple on and knock-on effect that I think impacts the broader community, particularly if they're a mum. Their children start to see how they're valuing themselves, and whilst money is only one representation, I think it's often a very good reflection of what we think and feel internally as to what shows up in our pay packet and our bank account. So yeah, I'm really all systems go about helping as many women as I can own their magnificence, their talents, their gifts, and be handsomely rewarded for it. And, you know, I think we all deserve it. We're all born deserving it. I think there's a whole bunch of reasons why we don't. And my goal is to help as many women to, you know, peel back some of those layers of limiting beliefs and fears and doubts and what I call BS stories, bullshit, and really start to own who they are. And yeah, I love what I do, so it's great. And it's working with women like yourself. You know, I think it's so important that we honour who we are and build a beautiful community and team around us to help us honour ourselves, and, you know, we help honour others as well.
Fantastic. Did you catch all that, everyone? That was fantastic. And we're lucky enough to have some men as well as women on the call tonight.
Awesome. Fabulous.
Yeah,
great. It's not just a women's issue of undervaluing ourselves. Like, you know, all my years in corporate, I would see men also doing, doing the self-sabotage or, putting in a glass ceiling that they themselves couldn't get over. So it's definitely not just a woman's issue. It certainly goes for men and women. And I think it's important for both to really own who they are and their own magnificence, because I think they can contribute so much more to their community when they themselves are honouring themselves.
Absolutely. So money is one of the big stressors in life.
Yes.
So why don't we dive in and get into this topic? So I've prepared a couple of questions. What are the 3 best things we can do to feel better about our finances, to feel good about them?
Yeah, look, I often see, particularly when one's starting to think about changing careers or, this time of year in particular, I think there's a lot more people really assessing life and going, wow, do I want to stay in the job that I'm in? Do I want to move up? Or is it time for me to really assess, am I being paid what I'm worth? And I see there's 3 things that we need to address in life, not just because there's a change of career or change of job. And that's really taking stock of where you are now. And the first one is putting together a little cash fund of just cash in the bank. And I have 3 strategies. I call it save, solve, and start. And the save component is saving $1,000 or $1,500 in your bank account, not for shoes or for groceries, but just that rainy day fund. So let's say, Nikki, you were in the progress of looking for a new job, and it could happen really quickly, particularly if they're working with a coach like yourself and you can align their values, etc. But you need to have that cash reserve so you've got a little bit of a buffer. And I think it's important so you don't make the wrong decision and grab the first job that comes across your desk because you need the cash. So I say to all my clients, put $1,000, $1,500 as quickly as you can in an account, like almost go old school and stick it in a jar somewhere so you've got cash. And I think what occurs for you is physically and emotionally you start to have a little bit of a breather, because you're like, if it all turned pear-shaped and something came in, like the car broke down or whatever, I've got that little bit of a reserve available for me in cash, not going into further debt. So save $1,000 or $1,500, or as much as you can, but really fast, like have it in your bank account available for you. The next one is solve your debt issue. And debt, I see, can be quite crippling for a lot of people. And I think we are in a society where debt is really easy to get into. Credit card companies are always wanting to, up your limits, giving you credit cards. I see advertisement on the TV all the time of, transfer your cash to us, your debt to us, and we'll do zero financing. But it's all about putting yourself in further debt. And look, I speak from my own experience. I've had some pretty large debt issues in the past, which have now resolved. And when you've got a lot of debt, again, I think it emotionally changes what you then see as possible or not possible when you look to change careers or move jobs or sit with certainty in the current role. So I say solve your debt issue. Pay off the smaller debts first, because there's something quite satisfying and rewarding about clearing some of the debt quickly. Keep your minimum payments of all your other credit cards, etc. But get rid of the smaller ones first, because then it's kind of like you're consolidating a lot faster. And my clients will often go, I feel better when there's less debt. So I'm a big believer of solve your debt issue. And then the third component is start saving for your long-term saving strategy, and particularly retirement. I don't know how old you are, Nikki, but I've just turned 40 and I'm already starting to think about my retirement, which, regardless of what the government say, etc., whether we retire at 65, 70 or 75, it doesn't matter. I think we all, if we're starting to think now as early as possible about what we can create, I see a lot of people retiring financially really stressed because they don't have enough, and they're now at their 60s and they realise they can't work for another 20 years to get cashed up. So I'm like, well, I can do something about it now, so I'm going to start, whether it's by property or have savings in the bank, super, etc. So for me, I see the 3 things of feeling better about your finances is save some liquid cash in the bank, a couple of grand, solve your debt issue. If you're not in a lot of debt, fantastic, don't go into debt. If you are in debt, solve it, and start thinking about your retirement and actually start doing something now. So create a savings plan and, talk to a financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, but, talk to the experts about how you can think long-term, 20, 30 years. And if you're in your 20s, start, because you'll have a beautiful nest egg to retire. If you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you've got to move a bit faster. So, yeah, that's my 3 strategies: start, solve, and save. And then I think you just feel better about where you are financially. And I believe it allows you to make better decisions when you're thinking about your career or changing careers or looking for new prospects, because you've got a bit of reserve and a bit of a buffer. Yeah, I think, you know, that's what I've seen with my clients as well. They're not as desperate, and desperation is not a good place to be in when you're thinking about changing careers or looking for jobs. I'm sure you know you're the expert in that.
I agree with everything you've said, and do you know what I love about that is you talk about having a buffer of $1,000 or a $1,500 one straight away, and I love that because I think everywhere else I've heard that they're talking about 5, 10, 20 grand or 6 months of income, and what I love about yours is let's keep it simple, let's make it achievable, and I'm a big fan of that for sure.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. You know, if you could get 3 to 6 months worth of, you know, full lifestyle expenses in the bank, go for it. But for a lot of people who don't have any cash reserves, putting 15 grand in a bank is like standing at the bottom of 1,000 steps going, holy mackerel, I've got to do 1,000 steps. But it's like, well, just get $1,000 under your belt, because, you know, if you see $1,000 in your bank account, for most people it's like when you lose weight. When you start to see the number go down, you think, oh, I'm going to do more and lose more. But for us with savings, it's when you see $1,000, for most people they go, oh, I could get to 1,500, and then they get to 1,500 and they go, oh, I could get to 2,000, and it's this beautiful snowball effect, which is self-motivating, which, you know, more cash in the bank I think is better for all of us, but start small and build that momentum. You know, 15 to 20 grand is a huge number for most people, so start small and just start, you know, really.
I love it all, and for those of you on the call who do get coaching with me, are you feeling the synergy here? So much of what Yvonne says is my philosophy as well. Start small, get momentum, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check my question sheet again. So I like what you touched on, which is when you're in a better place financially, even with that small buffer, you're going to feel like you've got more choices in terms of career. You're going to have you have some breathing space if you're wanting to change, and you feel more confident if you just need to get out of that job, because, you know, we've all been in those jobs where we just need to get out. So I wonder, yeah. So I wonder, when people are in transition, they're either wanting to be more valued in their current job, or they're going to need to go to an interview and talk about their next salary.
Yes.
Also, a lot of my coaches are business owners and creatives. So in some way, we're all needing to put a price on what we do or what we offer. Do you have tips for that at all, proven tips?
Yes. Look, it's a sticky one for most people of valuing themselves and being congruent when asking for more money in any experience, whether you're self-employed, an employee, it doesn't matter. I think we all go through the same journey. So I like to do a lovely exercise of getting really clear on what would be the drawbacks or benefits for you currently staying in at your current salary. So let's say you're on a salary of $60,000 a year, and can you hear my baby screaming in the background?
I can.
Give me 1 second, and I'll just make sure that my nanny is okay. She'll resolve, and then we'll be good. I'll be back in 1 second.
Sure.
Do you want to bring them down?
Hi, everyone. So what could we talk about? We could talk about summary sessions with me. That's what we could talk about. So for those of you who haven't met me before, I do career change coaching, and the first step to work with me is to book into a discovery session with me, and it's a free 30-minute chat, and we'll find out more about you. You'll learn a bit more about how I work, and we find if we're a good match for each other and want to do some work in the future. So it's a really great way to find out more and see what you think. The other thing I offer is a should I stay or should I go coaching session. So often, and I've been in the same position, and so many of my clients have, where you're in a job and you're depleted, you're stressed, and you're just not sure, is it me or is it the job? You know, should I stay or should I go? So that's another option too. So you just pop into www.nikkismith.net.au into the coaching section and just book yourself in. The other thing I was going to say is we don't have live chat enabled on this webinar tonight, but if you do have a question, please send it through to Nikki at nikkismith.net.au. That's NIKKI at nikkismith.net.au, and in about 5 to 8 minutes or so we'll jump into question time. So that's what we're going to do there. Now Yvonne is back with baby Frankie.
For some reason, little Frankie was not happy being upstairs with the nanny, so I'm just going to answer your question with Frankie and she'll be happy. So back to the question of how do you ask for more money and how do you ask for a pay rise. So I drew up what I call 4 columns, and this is based on John DeMartini's work, and it's a simple version that I use. So if you can imagine, I've got 4 columns. And on the left-hand side, I'd put my current salary. So let's say I'm earning $60,000 a year, and I want to ask for, say, $70,000. And you might say, you know, for whatever reason, asking for that extra $10,000 is causing a lot of icky feeling, and there's a lot of stuff going on that might have you not ask for the money. So on the left-hand side of the page, I'd write down $60,000 at the top. Then I'd write down what are all the drawbacks for me staying at $60,000, and then I'd have a column full of benefits. Then moving along to the right-hand side, I would have $70,000, and I'd have drawbacks, and then I'd also have benefits. And what I would do, by the way, I'm very good at multitasking with Frankie here, so I would have, and I'll quickly draw that up for you because I think visually if you can see it, it'll make a lot of sense for you. Don't you love the flexibility required when you've got a 1-month-old who, for whatever reason, won't hang out with her nanny? But we can really roll with this, can't we, darling? So, in a nutshell, I would have the 4 columns like that. And up here I'd have the 60K and then the 70K at the top. So, Nikki, it's a really great process, and I use this in many, many circumstances. It could also be changing careers, so someone's looking for a new job. So on the this column here, and I move across from left to right, I'd go, what is one drawback for me staying at $60,000? And it could be that I'd feel resentment to my employer for staying at $60,000. Then I'd go, well, what's a benefit for me staying at $60,000? And I could say, well, I know that I can contribute and add value confidently earning $60,000 because I know that I'm adding value of that service that I'm providing. Then at the $70,000, which is column 3, I'd go, well, what would be the drawback if I went to $70,000? Now, this is where most people I find don't really balance out the drawbacks and benefits of asking for a pay rise because they go, well, Yvonne, there's no drawback to me asking for $70,000 because I can only see benefit. But there is. It's about balancing out the both so that you're very congruent asking for the pay rise. So let's say a drawback of $70,000 could be I would have to potentially work harder to justify my employer paying me an extra $10,000. And this is what I like the clients to think about because that's the stuff sitting under the surface. And look, you know, as a psychologist, this is the stuff that's, you know, sitting underneath the surface as to why they're not asking for money. So it's about drawing that from the unconscious to the conscious. And then a benefit could be, well, I'd feel terrific, so therefore I'd add more value to my employer because I feel, you know, valued at being paid $70,000. So then what I have my clients do is do one for each column, so they're equally balancing drawback, benefit, and trust me, Nikki, there's equal drawbacks and benefits for staying at 60 or going to 70. And then I would suggest to them is go as far down the page as possible. You can usually knock out 10 rows pretty easy. I say go to at least 25. Go further to 50 and you're really having to dig deep for drawbacks and benefits of staying at 60 and then going to 70. And at the end of it, what occurs is a couple of things. You either realize that the biggest thing is that you don't get so attached to the move. Like whether you're staying at 60 or going to 70, you start to see your own self-worth and value. And what I find is that something shifts internally and you start to get very congruent at valuing yourself, particularly if you're moving, let's say, to 70,000. It also has you get really clear on what could be some of the benefits or drawbacks your employer is thinking about, usually drawbacks, of you moving to 70K. And then because you've already thought of it, you're ahead of the game if it comes up in your negotiation. if it comes up in your negotiation, you're ahead of the game to be able to answer the question. And look, I had this experience putting in a contract last year, and I went through this process, and I went to 100 because I really needed to, in my mind, get very congruent. She's sucking at my little finger. I had to get very congruent with asking for the fee that I needed to, and I was being challenged quite a lot that my fees, they didn't want to pay my fees. And I found by doing this, I got to such a beautiful space of congruency that I wasn't attached. And I got to the point of going, this is what I'm worth. It's like, I can see my value in your organisation because I've gone through this process, and it just shifted the game. And anyway, they saw the value in me. They saw the value in me because I saw the value in me. And I think that's I think that's what it is, because you yourself know with your clients, when they can see their self-worth and own their self-worth, it's a game changer. Like, you're not negotiating at about 10 grand because your energy has shifted. Your ability to sit and hold yourself is so different in the negotiation. And it's from doing that process, and I've seen it with time and time again, whether you're asking for 5K, 10K, 100K extra, it doesn't matter, because when you've done the work of going, there's drawbacks and benefits from me staying at my current wage, and there's equal drawbacks and benefits of me moving to my new wage, when you can see it all out in black and white and something clicks internally, then you're playing in a very different space when you're negotiating or asking for a pay rise. So do what you're currently earning, drawback benefits, what you want, drawback benefit, always do 1, 1, 1, 1, and then go as deep, like as many as you can, until you're really scraping the barrel to find the answers, because then you're going a lot deeper into what your real reasons are as to why you don't want to ask for the money. And you will have some sincere, amazing breakthroughs on that. And I think I've lost Nikki. All right, I'm going to keep going. Nikki, I'm not sure if you're still there. So yes, that's one of my favourites. So if you're wanting to change careers or ask for more money or go for a job that is in a high bracket and you've never potentially earned it, do this process and you'll find you'll get less negative charge or emotional charge, and you'll really get your worth all the money that you're asking for. It works.
I love it. I'm adapting. Yeah, I'm adapting as we go, because I think that's incredible, and I think we need to set some kind of challenge around that, because I would never think to get to 25 or 50 lines. Like, that would not even occur to me. I would think 10 is phenomenal.
Well, 10 is just like the cream on top of the milk, but it's, well, no, weird analogy, but they're the easy ones. It's the deep stuff that has us really get, like, what's the juicy stuff of what is the drawback of you staying at 60,000? Like, you know, that's the emotional stuff you want to do, because that's what then charges you to get emotional about going, you know what, I am worth this 70K or 80K or whatever it is. And it's about shifting your energy, so when you are in that negotiation, you know how to answer, because if somebody goes, well, I don't want to pay you 70K, and you go, well, these are all the reasons why I know that me playing at 70K is going to add a huge value to your organisation. And I always think, you know, if you're asking for more money, you've got to first think, well, how can I serve and add value to that client, organisation, you know, first, to then to go, well, this is a no decision, you know, but you've got to know internally. And it's not so much just a thinking. For me, it's a feeling, because that's got to be congruent. Like, you've really got to know 1,000% that you're worth 70 grand. Not because you should ask for it, but because you know you're worth it.
And because you can.
If you're close to that, because then you'll get to that.
I love that. So I want to jump in for a sec, because the point I want to add to that is that it's important to ask. It's amazing what can happen when you ask. And what I love is Yvonne's presented a really thorough process to base that question on. And I am always pleasantly, I'm not amazed. My clients are always amazed when they ask what they get. But what I love is we've got this beautiful process to underpin that and to give you the confidence. And you're so right. If you own it, it's amazing what happens. And it's so, I'm just thinking for someone who has, so we've got, you know, an artist and an illustrator on the call. And you know, it's always a conundrum. What do you charge for something? But again, I like this because again, they could put down 2 or 3 different prices and again work through it. And
Yes.
again, it's amazing when you know own it what can happen. You know, if there's a quiver in your voice or if you're not sure, then people may think they can negotiate.
Yeah. And in negotiations, if you're desperate for the sale or desperate for the pay rise, and for some people, if they know that you're desperate, they won't play the game because they're like, well, you're going to say yes to whatever I offer, and if I don't give you the extra 10K, you're going to say yes anyway because you're desperate. And I find with this process, it takes out the desperation because negotiating is best when you're not emotionally desperate and attached to the outcome. Don't get me wrong, we can't live in a world, well, it's very difficult to live in a world where you're just thinking positive thoughts and wanting to pay your bills with positive vibes and, you know, meditations. You know, we all need money to do our transactions. So, but if you're in a negotiation and you're not so desperate or, you know, pleading for the extra 10K because you've done the work and you know your value, it changes the communication with your client or your employer because they recognize that you're playing at a higher game and you're at a higher vibration. So, and I speak from my own experience. I know when I've gone into negotiations quivering, please take me out a little orphan, you know, please sir, can I have some more of my bowl of porridge? And you just don't get what you need because, you know, they're like, well, we could pay her less and she's going to say yes anyway. But, you know, now that I've learnt this strategy, you can play, and it is about playing a game when you're negotiating because it's a he said, she said, or someone's going to put a number on the table first. But when you're not so emotionally charged and desperate, I find that you can get a better outcome because it's and they'll see that, and you know, you can get some different outcomes. So yeah, this is a goodie, and I use this in so many areas. Like if you're thinking about changing careers, drawback benefit to staying in your current job, drawback benefit to going to a new company, and it really has you see. Not get into the fantasy of going, oh, when I move or when I get a pay rise, only good can occur. You know, if you ask for an extra 10K, guarantee you're going to be asked to step up your responsibility in the business or what you're offering the company in terms of your service, your commitment, a whole bunch of stuff. And if you're not seeing the other side of it, we can sometimes get a bit too, you know, rose-coloured glasses that life is only going to be brilliant when I get an extra 10K, where this helps you see, well, you know, maybe I will have to put in a little bit more work, or maybe I do have to do things differently, and it lets you assess it at a very different level as well, I find.
I love it. I really do. And I think also if you're getting to the 25 lines or the 50 line marks, you're also going to think about what impact it has on other people in your life, I think, you know, so you are getting into the more nitty-gritty and the more day-to-day impact of your decisions. So that's awesome. I can't actually believe it, but it's 7:30.
Wow.
In your town. So I've just checked the message spot, which is my email address, and there's nothing there at the moment. I wonder if we set everyone a little challenge or something to take action on. It could be, so you could, I'm going to put it out there. This is what I think it could be from. So it could be the benefits list, yeah? Yes. The drawbacks and the benefits list, or it could be setting up your savings thing. Yes. So, for example, putting a direct debit in from your savings accounts to or your regular daily account into your savings account, and even starting with $10 for the month, and actually just start. Yeah, I think that setting up the savings is so important, and automate it as much as you can. Like, I think self-sabotage is a big issue for most of us when it comes to us making the decision to put money aside each week or each month. I say automate it. Even if it's $10 a month, you can always add more manually, but do something as a minimum that happens regardless of what your mood is like when you get paid, because that can fluctuate as well. So automate that. Savings, you know, paying off debt, etc. So get you out of the way so that it can occur without you. Yeah, I find that's much faster to achieve your goal. And I'm gonna be honest here. I just did that for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and it felt amazing. And I did start with $10 because you've got to start somewhere. So I can personally recommend Yvonne's 21-day free course, which is called mymoneysorted.com. I've put the link in the group chat box. I have no idea whether any of you can see that, but I will send it out in a follow-up email. I highly recommend it. There's really not much more I can say about that. Really small bite-sized pieces to change your relationship with money. And is there anything else you want to add, Yvonne, before we sign off?
Look, I think that's the big one. I think if someone can make sure that they've got a bit of cash reserved, it makes it easier while they're looking at transitioning jobs. Look at your debt. It's, for a lot of people, it's about pulling their head out of the sand. Start small, go for the small ones, clear them off, feel good about, being in momentum, and then start thinking about your long-term savings as well, or your long-term retirement. And then, if you are asking for a pay rise or you are changing jobs, give yourself the opportunity to go through and bust out any fantasies you may have about what a new pay rise could do for you, and go through the process of drawbacks and benefits, because it really shifts how you feel, and it'll allow you to have a little bit more freedom and more choice as to whether or not you do want to ask for that. Maybe you're not asking for enough. Maybe you do need to ask for 20 grand extra, not 10 grand, if that was a scenario. And I find that then it allows you to really step up and resonate at a whole new level. And I feel it's more of a respect for you as well as being respectful with your client or your company that you're working with. But it is about valuing yourself, and I think, more and more when you own who you are, your talents, your gifts, your magnificence, that's what people want to resonate with. We want to hang out with people who inspire and motivate us and who are playing at their full, and I think being rewarded handsomely for that is part of what we're allowed to own. Like, I want you and all the clients to get paid what you're worth, and live a magnificent life and have options and flexibility and choice, which having more income and better money does afford it. I'm not going to say whether or not it makes you happy or not, because I think you can still be bloody miserable as a gazillionaire and bloody happy as a dirt poor. But I do see for myself and my journey and what I've seen with clients is that when you've got more money available to you, you have more options. And I think for most of us, if not all of us, options and the ability to choose what we want to do more in our life is actually what we're really striving for. Whether it's better health care, better time, more time with our family and kids, better holidays, better money to give to charities. And when you're getting paid more of what you're worth, I think you have the ability to do that. It's certainly what my mission is to help people have more flexibility and choice. It's like, go surfing every day, because I know you love surfing. That's the stuff that lights you up, and that's the stuff that you want to hang out with when you're, with the people you're with for 40 hours a week. So get paid what you want and have fun with it.
Yvonne, hip hip hooray! Thank you. It's so fun to be with someone who's as energetic, if not more energetic, than myself. I think you've nailed it on the head, which is the financial freedom, that feeling of choice. Everyone that comes into my room wants more choice and wants more joy and wants more adventure and more financial freedom. So thank you so much for sharing all that wisdom with us tonight. And as I said before, I will send you all out some links of a couple of options that you can take on to take this a step further. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for your flexibility with Miss Frankie, who seems to have figured out that she's okay.
Have a great night, Yvonne. Thanks, everyone.
Ciao. Bye.